The morning sky over Seoul turned from blue to strange purple as the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. People stopped in the streets and looked up. Car alarms went off. Phones stopped working. Major Tae-ho was in the middle of his morning coffee when the emergency alert sounded. His military phone was the only one still working. "Major, report to headquarters immediately," said the voice of General Kim. Tae-ho grabbed his uniform jacket and rushed out the door. The streets were packed with scared people looking at the sky. He pushed through the crowd to his car and drove fast to the military base. At Earth Defense Force headquarters, screens showed the alien ships. 7 large vessels, each bigger than the largest human battleship, hovered above major cities around the world. The biggest one was over New York. "What do we know?" Tae-ho asked as he entered the command room. General Kim looked tired. He hadn't slept since the alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 days ago. "They call themselves the Vosh. They've ignored all our messages until an hour ago. Then they sent this." The general played the video message. A tall alien with gray-blue skin and 4 eyes appeared on screen. Its voice was deep and seemed to come from 2 different places in its throat. "People of Earth, we are the Vosh, travelers of the stars and judges of worthy species. Your world has reached the point where we must test you. Prepare your leaders to meet with us. You have 6 hours." Tae-ho studied the alien's face. "They think they're better than us." "They probably are," said Dr. Jisoo as she walked into the room. She was Earth's top expert on alien cultures, though until now, humans had only met 2 other species, both friendly and less advanced than Earth. Their ships can travel faster than light. Their weapons could destroy our planet. But they want to talk. "That's good," Jisoo said. General Kim nodded. "The World Council has agreed to meet them. And they want you 2 there." "Us?" Tae-ho was surprised. "I'm just a tactical officer." "You're the best military mind we have," said the general. "And Dr. Jisoo knows more about alien cultures than anyone. The meeting is in 3 hours at the United Nations." The meeting room at the UN was quiet as the human leaders waited. The presidents of the United States, China, and the European Union sat at the front table. Behind them were the leaders of 20 other nations, along with experts like Tae-ho and Jisoo. A bright light filled the room, and 3 Vosh appeared. They didn't use doors. The tallest Vosh stepped forward. "I am Admiral Krell, commander of this evaluation fleet. We have studied your world for 50 of your years. We have watched your wars, your progress, and your stories." "Why are you here?" asked the U.S. President. "To test if you deserve to exist freely," said Krell. "Many species reach your level. Most are not worthy to continue." Tae-ho noticed how the alien looked at humans, like they were interesting bugs. "And if we fail your test?" asked the Chinese president. "Then you join our empire as a servant species," said Krell. "But we offer you a chance. We have studied your legends, your heroes. Instead of war, we offer the trials of worth." Jisoo leaned forward. "What kind of trials?" 5 challenges based on your own myths and legends. If your champions succeed, we leave in peace. If they fail, your world is ours." The room erupted in angry shouts and arguments. Tae-ho stayed quiet, watching the aliens. They seemed almost pleased by the human reaction. When the room quieted, Krell spoke again. "You have 3 days to decide and choose your champions. Consider carefully." With another flash of light, the aliens disappeared. Tae-ho turned to Jisoo. "They're playing with us. But why offer us any chance at all?" Jisoo looked worried. "I don't know, but I think they're hiding something important." As the world leaders argued about what to do, Tae-ho knew one thing. Humanity was facing its greatest test, and he would be part of it. For 3 days, the world waited. People packed their things and hid in basements. Some prayed. Others partied like it was the end of the world. It might be. Tae-ho spent the time studying every piece of information about the Vosh. There wasn't much. Their ships blocked all scans. Their technology was like magic to humans. On the morning of the third day, Taiho and Jisoo sat in a meeting room with world leaders. "We have no choice," said the European president. "We must accept their challenge. We cannot fight their ships." "It could be a trick," said Taiho. "Why give us any chance at all?" Jisoo opened her tablet. "I've been studying what little we know about them. The Vosh appear to value tests and trials. It seems to be part of their culture. Or maybe they just enjoy playing with their food before they eat it," said the Russian president. Before anyone could answer, the room filled with light. Admiral Krell and 2 other Vosh appeared. "Your time to decide is over," said Krell. "What is your answer?" The UN secretary stood up. "We accept your challenge. Tell us more about these trials." Krell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The Vosh have traveled the stars for 10,000 years. We have met many species. Those worthy of freedom must prove it. Those unworthy serve." One of the other Vosh stepped forward. This one was shorter, with lighter skin. "I am Scholar Traz. I study the myths and legends of other worlds. Humans have rich stories of heroes and champions. Your trials will be based on these." Traz touched a device on his wrist. A hologram appeared showing scenes from human myths and history. Hercules performing impossible tasks. Odysseus using his mind to overcome challenges. The Buddha facing temptation. Joan of Arc standing against all odds. "We have studied them all." Taiho leaned toward Jisoo. "They've been watching us for a long time." Krell spoke again. "You will select 5 champions. They will face 5 trials based on your own legends. If 3 succeed, we leave Earth in peace. If 3 fail, you join our empire." "And if we refuse?" asked the Chinese president. "Then we take your world now," said Krell simply. The secretary looked around the room, then nodded. "We accept. How do we choose our champions?" "However you wish," said Krell. "You have 7 days. Choose wisely." After the Vosh disappeared, the room erupted in argument. Who should represent Earth? The strongest, the smartest, the bravest. "We need a selection process," said the U.S. president. "Each nation can nominate candidates." "There's no time for politics," said Taiho, surprising himself by speaking up. "We need the best humans for each type of challenge." Jisoo nodded. "We need strength, wisdom, courage, creativity, and heart." For the next week, the world watched as candidates were tested and evaluated. Athletes, soldiers, scientists, and thinkers from every nation competed to represent Earth. Taiho didn't enter the competition. He helped design the tests, looking for people who could think quickly and adapt, people who wouldn't give up. On the final day, Jisoo found him in his office. "You should be a champion," she said. Taiho shook his head. "I'm just a soldier." "You're more than that. You understand how the Vosh think. You see patterns others miss." Before Taiho could argue, his phone rang. It was the secretary. "Major Taiho, the selection committee has made its decision. You have been chosen as Earth's first champion." Taiho sat in shocked silence. "The other champions are Dr. Jisoo, Master Daejung, Engineer Hana, and Diplomat Sungmin." After the call ended, Taiho looked at Jisoo. "Did you know?" She smiled. "I nominated you, and someone nominated me." "I did," he admitted. "We need your knowledge of cultures." That night, the 5 champions met for the first time. Tomorrow, they would face the aliens and begin the trials that would decide Earth's fate. As they talked and planned, Taiho couldn't shake the feeling that the Vosh were hiding something important about these challenges. The 5 champions met in a large room at the United Nations building. They had 12 hours before the Vosh would take them to the mothership. Taiho looked at his teammates. He knew Jisoo well, but the others were new to him. Daejung was a short man with strong arms and calm eyes. He had won every martial arts competition in the world for 10 years. No one could beat him in a fight. "I am honored to defend Earth," Jung said softly. My body is ready for any test. Hana was younger than the others, maybe 28. Her fingers never stopped moving, always building or fixing something. She had invented new types of robots when she was still a teenager. I studied every bit of Vosh technology we've seen, she said. They're advanced, but machines always have weaknesses. Some men stood by the window, looking at the Vosh ship floating above the city. He was a diplomat who had helped stop 3 wars before they started. He could speak 12 languages perfectly. We need to understand them better, some men said. Every species has rules they follow. Even conquerors. Taiho nodded. That's why we're here. Each of us brings something different. Jisoo spread papers on the table. I've put together everything we know about the Vosh and the legends they mentioned. We need to prepare for any type of challenge. For hours, they studied and planned. They shared their strengths and weaknesses. They became a team. As the sun rose, Admiral Krell appeared in the room without warning. 2 Vosh guards stood behind him. It is time, said Krell. Your world watches. Do not disappoint them. Before anyone could speak, bright light surrounded them. When it faded, they stood in a huge room on the Vosh mothership. The room was strange. Parts looked like a human museum, with objects from Earth, swords, books, paintings. Other parts had alien technology that hummed with power. Scholar Traz entered with 4 other Vosh. Welcome to the Chamber of Trials. Here we test all species we encounter. Taiho stepped forward. How many species have passed your tests? Traz's 4 eyes blinked. Few, very few. And the others? Asked Jisoo. They serve the Vosh Empire. They are not unhappy. Inferior species need guidance. Hana touched a strange metal object on a table. Why test us at all? Why not just take our world? The Vosh are fair, said Traz. The worthy deserve freedom. The unworthy do not. Daejung crossed his arms. How do the trials work? Traz touched his wrist device. A hologram appeared showing 5 doors, 5 trials, 5 champions, each based on human legends. Can we choose which trial we face? Asked some men. No, the trials choose the champion. A Vosh guard gave each human a metal band to wear on their wrist. These will monitor you during the trials, said Traz. They also prevent cheating. Taiho didn't like the cold metal against his skin, but he had no choice. When do we start? He asked. Now, said Traz. One of the doors opened. A loud roar came from inside. The first trial tests strength and courage, said Traz, based on your legend of Hercules. Who will face it? Daejung stepped forward without hesitation. I will. As Daejung walked toward the door, Taiho noticed something odd. The Vosh were watching them too carefully, like they were looking for something specific. Good luck, Taiho called to Daejung. I don't need luck, said Daejung with a small smile. I have training. He walked through the door, which closed behind him. The other champions gathered around a screen that showed Daejung entering a large arena. Now we wait, said Jisoo. And watch carefully, added Taiho. I think there's more to these trials than they're telling us. On the screen, Daejung stood in an arena 3 times larger than a football field. The ground was dirt and sand. The walls were high and made of strange metal that changed colors. The first task begins, announced Traz's voice. The 12 labors, inspired by your Hercules legends. A door opened across the arena. A huge animal stepped out. It looked like a lion, but it had 3 heads like the Cerberus of Greek myths. That's not fair, said Hana. That creature isn't real on Earth. We improve your legends, said Traz, watching from beside them. The beast has the strength of 3 lions. Daejung didn't look scared. He took a deep breath and moved into a fighting stance. The beast charged. It was fast for something so big. Daejung waited until the last second, then jumped to the side. The beast missed him and hit the wall. While it was stunned, Dad Jung ran to a pile of weapons on the ground. He picked up a spear and shield. For 10 minutes, Dad Jung fought the beast. He couldn't beat it with force, so he used its weight against it. He made it chase him until it was tired. Then he used the spear to pin one of its heads to the ground. The beast roared in pain, but couldn't get free. "The champion wins the first task," said Traz, sounding surprised. "1 down, 4 to go," said Taiho. The next door opened. "The second trial tests wisdom and sacrifice," said Traz. "Based on your myths of choice and self-sacrifice, who will face it?" Jisoo stepped forward. "I will." Inside the second trial room, Jisoo found herself in what looked like a temple. There were 3 doors and a table with strange objects. "You must choose the right path," said Traz's voice. "Each choice has a price." Jisoo studied the objects: a knife, a book, and a small plant. "This is a test of values," she said to herself. She opened the book. Inside were questions. Would you sacrifice knowledge to save lives? Would you sacrifice one life to save many? Would you sacrifice yourself? Jisoo thought carefully about each question. She noticed patterns in the questions. They were trying to find human weaknesses. When she finished the book, the middle door opened. Behind it was another room with 3 people who looked human but weren't quite right. "Choose who lives and who dies," said Traz's voice. Jisoo shook her head. "I won't choose. That's not wisdom or sacrifice. That's just cruelty." "Then you fail," said Traz. "No," said Jisoo firmly. "Your test is wrong. True wisdom is finding another way." She took the plant from the first room and offered it to the 3 people. "We share the life. No one dies." There was a long silence. Then Traz's voice said, "Unexpected solution. The trial passes." When Jisoo returned to the main chamber, she looked tired but proud. "How did you know what to do?" asked Sungmin. "I didn't," said Jisoo. "But I noticed something. The trials are testing more than our abilities. They're testing human thinking." Taiho nodded. "I think you're right. These aren't fair tests. They're studying us." Hana had been quiet, watching the screens that showed the trial rooms. "Look at this," she said. She pointed to strange marks on the walls. "These look like data collection points. They're recording everything about us." "Why?" asked Sungmin. "I don't know," said Taiho. "But I'm going to find out." The third door started to open. "The maze trial begins," said Traz. "Based on your labyrinth legends, who will enter?" Sungmin stepped forward. "I will." As Sungmin walked to the door, Taiho whispered to Hana, "While he's in there, can you hack into their systems?" Hana smiled. "I've already started." While Sungmin faced the maze trial, Hana worked on a small device she had hidden in her boot. The Vosh had taken their phones but didn't check for other technology. "What is that?" Taiho asked quietly. "A hacking tool I made," said Hana. "Their systems use light signals. My device can read them." Taiho stood in front of her to block the view of the Vosh guards. Jisoo joined them, still tired from her trial. "Did you find anything?" Jisoo asked. Hana nodded. "Their security is strong, but I found a way in. Look at this." She showed them a small screen. It showed alien writing that changed to Korean as they watched. "Translation program," Hana explained. "It's showing their records." Taiho read the screen. His face grew hard. This isn't the first time they've done this. There are records of 17 other worlds. 17. Jisoo looked shocked. What happened to them? Hana scrolled through more data. All of them failed the trials. All of them were conquered. On the main screen, they could see Sungmin making his way through a complex maze. Strange creatures followed him, but he stayed calm and found hidden paths. "He's doing well," said Taiho. "But look at this." He pointed to Hana's device. "According to these records, no species has ever passed more than 2 trials." "But we've already passed 2, said Jisoo. "Exactly. And look at the last trials in each case. Hana scrolled through more data. The final trials were different for each species, but they all failed them. The finals are rigged, said Taiho. No matter how well we do, they plan for us to fail at the end. Jesu looked at the Vosh guards across the room. They're not testing us to see if we're worthy. They're studying our strengths and weaknesses before they conquer us. Hana's device beeped softly. There's more. Look at this. The screen showed a map of Earth with red dots on major cities. Invasion plans, said Taiho. They're already preparing to attack, no matter what happens in the trials. We have to warn Earth, said Jisoo. Our wristbands block any signals we try to send, said Hana. But I might be able to use their own system to send a message. On the main screen, Sung Min reached the center of the maze. He found a box with a puzzle lock and solved it quickly. The box opened, revealing a small key. The diplomat passes the maze trial, announced Traz, again sounding surprised. 3 trials completed, 2 remaining. When Sung Min returned, Taiho pulled him aside and quickly told him what they had discovered. I'm not surprised, said Sung Min. In the maze, I found writings on the walls. Old writings, not meant for us to see. They showed other species facing the same trials. We need a plan, said Taiho. The next trial is mine or Hana's. It's yours, said Traz, approaching them. The 4th trial tests battle strategy and courage, based on your legends of great warriors. Taiho nodded. I'm ready. As he prepared to enter the 4th trial room, he whispered to Hana, keep working on sending a message to Earth, and look for any weakness in their systems. What about you? Hana asked. I'll pass my trial, said Taiho. But then we need to confront them with what we know. Taiho walked to the door of the 4th trial. Before entering, he looked back at Admiral Krell, who watched from a high platform. For the first time, Taiho saw something like worry on the alien's face. They didn't expect us to pass 3 trials, Taiho thought. And they definitely don't expect us to discover their lies. He entered the trial room, ready to face whatever challenge awaited him. But his mind was already planning how to turn the Vosh's game against them. Taiho's trial room looked like an ancient battlefield. The ground was dirt and grass. Fake trees made a forest on one side. A river of blue light cut across the middle. The battle trial begins, said Traz's voice. You must defeat the enemy army with only 20 soldiers. Hologram soldiers appeared next to Taiho. They looked human and carried old weapons, swords and spears. Across the field, a much larger army of at least 100 enemy soldiers formed. This is like the legend of Admiral Yi, said Taiho. He remembered the famous Korean admiral who won battles despite being outnumbered. Taiho studied the field and his soldiers. He noticed the holograms responded to his hand signals. He could control them. While Taiho planned his battle, the others watched on the screen. He looks calm, said Jisoo. He's a strategist, said Sung Min. This is what he does best. Hana continued working on her device. I found something important, she whispered. Their ship systems have a weak point. I might be able to shut down their security. On the battlefield, Taiho positioned his soldiers carefully. He put some in the forest to hide. He sent others to the river with large shields. When the enemy army charged, Taiho's plan worked perfectly. The hidden soldiers attacked from the sides. The ones by the river used their shields to create a wall that the enemy couldn't break through. In less than 30 minutes, Taiho had defeated the enemy army. The warrior passes the battle trial, announced Traz, now clearly surprised. 4 trials completed. This has never happened before. When Taiho returned, Admiral Krell was waiting with Traz. You have performed unexpectedly well, said Krell. But the final trial is the most difficult. No species has ever passed all 5. I'm ready, said Hana, stepping forward. First, we will take a short break, said Krell, to prepare the final trial. When the Vosh left the room, the 5 champions gathered quickly. I've done it, said Hana. I sent a message to Earth. I told them about the invasion plans. Good, said Taiho. But we need to do more. We need to stop the Vosh ourselves. How? Asked Daejung. They have all the power here. Not all of it, said Hana. I found a way to shut down their security systems. When I go into my trial, I can activate it. Jisoo looked worried. But what about the trial itself? If you're focusing on the systems, how will you pass the test? I might not, said Hana. But it's more important to stop their invasion. Taiho shook his head. We need to do both. Pass the trial and stop them. Sungmin, who had been quiet, spoke up. I have an idea. When I was in the maze, I saw signs that not all Vosh agree with this conquest plan. There were messages left by Vosh, who seemed to oppose it. Rebels among the aliens. Jisoo looked surprised. It makes sense, said Taiho. No species is all one way. There are always different views. So we need to expose their lies, said Sungmin. Not just to save Earth, but to show the other Vosh what their leaders are doing. The door opened, and Traz returned. The final trial is ready, he said. It will test your ability to understand and create, based on your legends of builders and thinkers. As Hana prepared to go, Taiho handed her a small piece of paper. What's this? She asked. A plan, said Taiho. When you're inside, find a way to broadcast what's on this paper to the whole ship. Hana nodded and walked toward the final trial door. Be careful, called Jisoo. And be ready, added Taiho. When Hana makes her move, we make ours. The door closed behind Hana, and the final trial began. But this time, the humans weren't just trying to pass a test. They were fighting for Earth's freedom. Hana entered a large room filled with strange machines and tools. The walls were covered with screens showing blueprints of buildings, ships, and devices from many worlds. The creation trial begins, said Traz's voice. You must build a device that can convert thought into energy. You have 1 hour. Hana almost laughed. That's impossible. No human technology can do that. Other species have done it, said Traz. If humans cannot, you are not advanced enough to remain free. Hana looked at the tools and materials. Some she recognized, others were completely alien. She began working, but her mind was on Taiho's plan. The paper he gave her had a simple message. Challenge them to a trial of their own making. One final test. Winner takes all. While Hana worked on her task, she also looked for ways to access the ship's main systems. She found a control panel under one of the work tables. When the cameras weren't looking, she connected her device to it. Back in the main chamber, Taiho, Jisoo, Sungmin, and Daejung watched Hana on the screen. She's found an access point, whispered Jisoo. Taiho nodded. Now we wait. Admiral Krell and Scholar Traz watched from nearby, talking quietly in their own language. They didn't notice when Sungmin moved closer to listen. When Sungmin returned to the group, he looked worried. They're already calling their invasion fleet, he said. They never expected us to pass 4 trials. Now they're rushing their plans. How long do we have? Asked Taiho. Hours, maybe less, said Sungmin. We need to move faster, said Taiho. He looked at the screen where Hana was working. She's ready. On the screen, Hana had built a small device. It wasn't what the Vosh asked for. It couldn't convert thought to energy. But it looked impressive, with lights and moving parts. Suddenly, all the screens in the chamber changed. They showed records of the Vosh's previous conquests, all 17 worlds. They showed the invasion plans for Earth, and they showed messages from Vosh who disagreed with the conquests. What is happening? Shouted Krell. The truth, said Taiho, stepping forward. You never planned to give Earth a fair chance. The trials are rigged. You've done this 17 times before. Krell's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. How did you access those records? This is not part of the trial. Other Vosh entered the chamber, including some who looked like guards or officers. They stared at the screens in surprise. "This is our counterplan," said Tahoe. "We challenge you to one final trial. Not one you designed to make us fail, but a new one. A fair one." "Why would we agree?" asked Krell. "We have the power here." "Because your own people are watching now," said Jisoo, pointing to the Vosh who had entered. "They see what you've been doing. Is this really the Vosh way? To pretend to be fair while planning conquest all along." Some of the Vosh began talking among themselves. Traz looked uncomfortable. "What kind of trial do you propose?" Traz finally asked. "A trial of creation," said Tahoe. "Not building impossible technology, but creating something new, something that shows what humans truly excel at." "And the terms?" asked Krell, his voice cold. "If we win, you leave Earth in peace, forever. If we lose, we accept your rule." The door to the final trial room opened, and Hana walked out. She looked tired but proud. "I didn't build what they asked for," she said, "but I built something better. I built truth." Krell and Traz spoke quietly together, then with some of the other Vosh. Finally, Krell turned to the humans. "We accept your challenge, one final trial. But we choose the judge, a Vosh who has not been part of these trials." "Agreed," said Tahoe. "And we choose our champion." He turned to his teammates. "Who will represent Earth in this final test?" The 5 champions stood in a circle, talking quietly about who should face the final trial. "It should be Hana," said Tahoe. "She understands their technology better than any of us." "But this isn't about technology anymore," said Jisoo. "It's about showing them what makes humans special." "I think it should be you, Jisoo," said Sungmin. "You understand cultures. You can show them our best qualities." Jisoo shook her head. "No, Tahoe is right. Hana should do it. She has something none of us have. She can create things no one has ever seen before." Daijung, who had been quiet, nodded. "Humans are good at many things. We are strong. We are smart. But our best quality is that we can imagine new things and then make them real." They all looked at Hana, who looked nervous but determined. "I'll do it," she said. Tahoe stepped forward to address Admiral Krell. "Our champion for the final trial is Hana." Krell nodded. "Very well. The judge will be Elder Vox from our Science Council." He was not part of planning these trials. A very old Vosh entered the chamber. His skin was paler than the others, and he walked slowly with a cane. But his 4 eyes were bright and alert. "I am Elder Vox," he said in a deep voice. "I will judge fairly." "What is the trial?" asked Hana. "Creation," said Tahoe before Krell could answer. "True creation. Not copying something that already exists, but making something new." Elder Vox nodded. "An interesting challenge. Very well. Each side will create something that represents their highest achievement or ideal. You have 2 hours. A Vosh named Mev was chosen as their champion. He was given a work area on one side of the chamber. Hana was given a work area on the other side. The work areas had tools, materials, computers, and everything they might need to build something. As Hana began to work, Jisoo came to her. "Remember what humans do best," said Jisoo. "We adapt. We change. We take old ideas and make them new." Hana nodded. "I know what to make." For 2 hours, Hana worked without stopping. She built, programmed, adjusted, and tested. The Vosh champion Mev also worked hard, building something complex with many moving parts. The other champions couldn't see exactly what Hana was making. They could only watch and hope. Finally, the time was up. "Champions, present your creations," said Elder Vox. Mev went first. He had built a perfect model of the Vosh home world, with tiny ships that actually flew around it. It showed their entire history from the beginning of their civilization to their conquest of the stars. "This is the Vosh achievement," said Mev. "Perfect order, perfect progress. Everything working exactly as it should." Elder Vox nodded. Impressive. And the human? Hannah stepped forward. In her hands was a small clear box. Inside the box was what looked like a garden. But it was unlike any garden anyone had seen before. Plants of different colors grew and changed as they watched. Small creatures moved among the plants. Tiny weather systems formed and reformed. It was chaotic but beautiful. "This is a living ecosystem," said Hannah. "It changes and adapts. Nothing in it was planned exactly. I created the conditions for life and let it find its own way." "What is its purpose?" asked Elder Vox. "It has no single purpose," said Hannah. "That's what makes it human. We don't always know where we're going. We try things. We make mistakes. We learn. We change." She handed the box to Elder Vox. As he took it, the ecosystem inside shifted and adapted to his touch. "It feels alive," said the elder, his 4 eyes wide. "It is alive," said Hannah. "Not just the plants and creatures, but the whole system. Like Earth, like humanity." Elder Vox stared at the box for a long time. The whole chamber was silent. Finally, he looked up. "I have never seen anything like this," he said. Elder Vox held Hannah's living ecosystem in his hands. The entire chamber was silent. Even Admiral Krell seemed speechless. "In all my 300 years," said Elder Vox finally, "I have never seen creation like this. The Vosh create with perfect plans. We know the end before we begin. This evolves as it lives." While everyone was focused on Hannah's creation, Taiho stepped forward. He had been waiting for this moment. "Elder Vox," said Taiho, "before you make your judgment, there is something all Vosh should see." He nodded to Hannah, who pressed a button on her small device. The screens around the chamber lit up again. This time, they showed records of all 17 conquered worlds. "These are the species you conquered using the same unfair trials," said Taiho. "You were never testing if they deserved freedom. You were studying them to learn how to control them better." Murmurs spread among the Vosh in the chamber. Some looked shocked. Others looked away in shame. "This is not our way," said one young Vosh officer. "We are meant to find worthy species to join us, not to trick and conquer them." Admiral Krell's face darkened. "Silence. This human tries to divide us. Our empire was built on finding the best path for all species." "No," said Taiho firmly. "Your empire was built on lies. True greatness doesn't need tricks. If you were truly superior, you would have no fear of a fair test." He turned to address all the Vosh in the room. "Your technology is amazing. Your ships can cross the stars. But you've stopped growing as a species. You only know how to copy what worked before. You can't create anything truly new." Elder Vox looked troubled. He glanced from Hannah's living ecosystem to Taiho and back again. "Is this true?" he asked Krell. "Have we been using the same trials to ensure failure?" Krell didn't answer, but his silence was answer enough. "The human speaks truth," said Scholar Traz suddenly. "I have studied 17 species. All face trials designed to match their weaknesses, not test their strengths." A sound like wind filled the chamber as the Vosh began talking all at once. Some argued with others. Some demanded answers from Krell. "Enough," shouted Elder Vox, raising his hands. The room went quiet again. "I have seen enough to make my judgment," he said. "The human creation shows something the Vosh have forgotten. That true growth comes from change and adaptation, not perfect control." He handed the ecosystem back to Hannah with gentle hands. "The humans win this trial," he announced, "and by the terms agreed upon, they and their world shall remain free." Krell stepped forward angrily. "You cannot." "I can and I have," said Elder Vox. His voice was suddenly strong and powerful. "I speak with the authority of the Science Council. This invasion will not happen." The 5 human champions looked at each other in amazement. They had won. "There is more to be done," said Elder Vox. "The 17 conquered worlds deserve to know the truth as well." And they deserve their freedom, added Jisoo. Elder Vox nodded slowly. Perhaps you are right. The Vosh have much to learn and unlearn. 2 days later, the 5 champions returned to Earth. They were greeted as heroes. The Vosh ships remained in orbit, but no longer as a threat. What happens now? Asked a reporter at the huge welcome ceremony. Taiho looked up at the sky where the alien ships could be seen as small silver dots. Now we talk, he said. We learn from each other. The Vosh have amazing technology. We have creativity and adaptation. Together, we might do things neither of us could do alone. That night, Taiho stood on the roof of his apartment building, looking at the stars. Jisoo joined him. Did you know we would win? She asked. Taiho shook his head. No, but I knew we had to try. That's the human way. Above them, a shooting star crossed the sky. But it wasn't a star. It was a small Vosh ship, coming to learn more about the species that had changed their empire with a simple truth. That true greatness comes not from conquest, but from growth and change.